The natural sound of the bird song in this was music in its own right. I mean, it sounded so cool. And looking at the cinematography, this gorgeous forest, it was really, really stunning. And then you add the kids onto it, who were absolutely just adorable, great dancers. I loved their movements. Yeah, I thought that this was really well done.
Birds. In this, the sound of nature is very prevalent. It's actually really relaxing to listen to these bird sounds. And I like how this piece really highlights the lushness of the setting. And I love the silence in this piece. With them sitting in silence, really taking in the sounds, I feel like as an audience, we follow suit and we don't get wrapped up in the business of the piece, and we can really actually really enjoy the audio and the sound design. And the tone of this is really peaceful. The movement of the young performers, which I also love that all the performers were young. I thought that was a lovely choice. The movement of these performers are all reminiscent of birds in itself. So that's something I noticed, with the flapping of arms, similar to the flapping of wings, and just the way that they moved, were very similar to the birds that you were actually hearing throughout the piece.
I really liked birds. That was some of the best cinematography I've seen in a while. Period, point blank. Not even you would think nature shots would be good cinematography in a Nat Geo way, but no, this wasn't a Nat Geo type of way. Beautiful cinematography. This was a narrative type of cinematography, and I like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but like the shots weren't, oh, look at the pretty forest. It was look at the pretty forest, but it was like motivated storytelling, intentional shots of the pretty forest. Also the sound design, those birds went crazy in my headphones, yo. It felt like serene nature. It felt like I was there. Uh, I thought the two actors did great moving in slow mo. You know, that body control is not easy, especially for however old they were, as young as they are. Uh, I thought everything came together really well. Great piece, yo.
Birds. So this was really interesting, unique, different. Didn't know what to expect as it kept going. Um, I thought it was really neat to just kind of feel like it made me feel like I was sort of just walking through the forest, some of the shots, and just really tuning into nature and hearing the birds. And then when you see these kids sort of, I guess they were imitating birds or something, but it really to me just looked like a really cool sort of choreography, body movement, sort of kids just kind of, I don't know, like being one with nature and sort of just letting go, and it just felt kind of peaceful. And I really give kudos to these kids because they felt very comfortable in front of a camera, kind of not really saying anything and just doing these movements. So the performances were great. It really, like, especially there was one kid that stood out the most. um I can't, I don't know his name, so but he was really good. They were all really good. He just seemed really super comfortable. They were all great performances by everyone, and a really interesting video. So great job.
Birds. I thought this was really, really fascinating. I thought it was really interesting that they didn't actually show any birds until, like, not at all, actually. You could hear the birds, but you didn't ever actually see a bird, uh, which I thought was really, really fascinating because then you had all of these kids, and it felt very almost make believe. How they were kind of moving and acting felt very much like different birds in kind of different stages. Some almost like they were being hatched, or like they had just kind of maybe landed. Others, later on, when you hear maybe like a more predatory bird, you kind of saw that going on. And then how the birds kind of interacted together, like you have the kids interacting together as well, which, like I said, all of it together kind of felt very almost magical and make believe to me, which was all kind of fueled by the fact that you could hear these birds, but you didn't ever see a bird. So where were these kids kind of getting their movements from almost? But I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I thought it was really, really interesting and really, really intriguing. And it just kind of had me hooked in because I was just waiting to see what else would happen in this forest with a bunch of kids and some really beautiful bird noises. But I thought it was really, really fascinating.
Birds. I loved this piece. It was so peaceful. They did such an excellent job of immersing us into the environment of this dense forest. The textures of the bark, the thick moss, the lichen, the shadowy cover of tall trees, the soundscape of the birds and the animal calls surrounding us really made me feel like I was there. And it became so immersive that these children became compelled to be a part of it, to share the experience of being out here, to physically share that intangible feeling of peace and of life in nature. And it really reminded me of growing up in the north and running through the forests, of playing in the tall grass. We would play sleeping lions at recess, and the magic behind that. So I thought this was really beautifully done, and great performers they found. Really, really special performances. And if I'm having a bad day, I'm going to play this piece.